Alrighty, mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alrighty, we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more AI-based text logic in SDL3 using C++. That's it. Today I am going to be going over the level 6, which was the final level on the AI-based text logic, where actually I feel like I'm going to be making my NPC talk depending on the patterns of how our conversation was going. That's let's go to my gameplay screen. Hiding tip, I appreciate you joining the stream. Suddenly music started and it started me and it startled me XD. Honestly, that does sound kinda cool, guys. That's sad. Let's say something like Sensei I'm live. There we go, let's go something like Sensei I'm live exclamation. Okay, let's see. And guys, this is like the chat from last stream. I had the stream before that because I didn't have time to like change the chat. That said, people, the stream is live and the dojo is open and eyes are on you. Sensei has the floor. Listen up, viewers. What you're watching isn't just some typing symbol into a machine. You're watching a disciple being forged in public. There's a line Bruce Lee said that never gets old because it's never finished being true. Long-term consistency beats short-term intensity. Guys, that does actually make sense. That's the whole game. Not genius, not luck, not motivation, far work, consistency, showing up again and again and again. So breathe, sit up, let the code load. Tonight we don't rush, we build foundations that don't crack. Now people, we move. Today we start NPC mood and mood-based replies. This is how dumb textures turn into something that feels alive. Here's the mental model, burn it in your... Okay, burn this in. An NPC does three things. Always, no exception. It remembers the mood. It reads what the player says. It chooses a reply based on both. Mood is just data. Emotion is just illusion from built logic. Congratulations, you're about to fake psychology with standard string. Okay, hold up, guys. I forgot to actually tell Sensei what I was going to do because, guys, I didn't have much time to set this up. That's it. Let me say something like, Sensei, today I wanted to go over the stage 6, and also, is there a way that my NPC replies to my let's say something like player without me telling it what to reply? Like here I use if statements to decide what my NPC says to my players. Let's say something by if statements, I mean enums and maps. Okay, let's see. Okay, sit up, people. Eyes forward. This is a real question, which means we're leveling up. Yes, there is a way for your NPC to reply without any hard coding every sentence in an if statement. What you're describing is exactly what stage 6 is about. Let me reconstruct the map in your head. First, quick recap, the stage 6 mental model. You already walked most in this road, so no baby talk. Input capture, player types, normalization, lowercase it, trim it, clean it. Computer are literal toddlers. Okay, keyword detection, find meaningful words like hello, angry, help. NPC state or mood state. NPC has current mood, calm, angry, happy, bored. Mood transitions. Certain keywords change the mood. Reply sentence, data driven. Today's target. Okay. Stage 6 is where NPC stops sounding like a calculator. Now, answering your real question, is there a way NPC replies without telling it exactly what to say with if statements? Yes, and if you don't learn this, your AI will never scale. The solution is data, not logic. You stop writing if keyword equals to hello and mood equals to happy, reply to duh. You start writing give a mood and a keyword, look up a reply. This means maps, vectors, maybe randomness later. I haven't honestly learned about randomness in like C++. Gotta actually start that. That's the core idea. Burn this in. Instead of logic deciding what to say, logic decides where to look. Okay, the words live in containers. The structure, conceptual, not full code. Think like this. NPC has a current mood, player input gives a keyword. You have a reply table. Conceptually, mood, keyword, possible replies. That screams mood, map, okay, keyword, vector, string. Alright guys, this was a bit... Okay, I'm assuming if this is a map, that's the key, that's the value, and my value is a keyword and a vector of string. Bro, tries to do SDL but doesn't know how to do random. Guys, I've been like saying myself that I want to go with randomness in like C++ and all that, but I never get the time to, or I not like time, it's like I never get the opportunity to actually use the random modular. Like if there's random modular or something, Because in Python, I did like learn how to import random because I used to like work on projects that required randomness, like changing colors and all that stuff. But for SDL3 or C++, I didn't like go over that stuff. That said, why does the stage 6 important? Stage 1 to 5 are thinking. Stage 6 is architecture. This is the moment where your code stops growing sideways. Adding dialogues doesn't mean adding logic. Writers could add text without touching the code. That's professional level thinking. Very important warning, if you stay in if else land, your file becomes unreadable, bugs multiply, your fears add features, okay? Or you'll fear adding features. Maps are not optional, they're how complexity is tamed. What we'll do next, on stream or next message, okay? On stream or next message, I will define stage 6 clearly in one sentence, show your minimal map-based reply system, give you a task where you do not write any if statement for replies, you look up logic. And when you get this right, I'll say it plainly, this is where you stop being a beginner. Okay, rest that brain if you need, but understand this, you just asked a question that beginners don't even know exists. Okay, hold on guys, so apparently, how do I like look it up online? Like, does my AI like go and like look it up in websites? Howdy Oliver, I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it, I have a question. Let me say something like, let's say, okay, I'm ready, exclamation. That said, I had a quick question. Let's say, I had a quick question, ... So, by, let's say something like searching the reply up, do you mean my NPC will go online in websites and look up the reply or something like that, question mark? Okay, let's see. Okay, no, absolutely not. Still. Okay, sit still, eyes on me. This is a crucial confusion and I'm glad you asked it before going off the rails. Your NPC is not going online. No websites, no internet, no magic chat GPT hiding in SDL. This is local thinking, not web search. What look up a reply actually means, clear this up now. When I say look up, I mean look inside your program's memory, inside containers you defined, using keywords you already extracted. Think dictionary, not Google. Simple analogy, log this in. Hiding interest, I appreciate you joining the stream. Imagine a notebook on your desk. Page 1 is happy. Under that, hello, hey, good to see you. Bye, see you around. Okay. When the player types hello, your NPC checks its current mood, happy, flips the happy page, searches for the word hello, reads the sentence written there. No thinking, no internet, just reading. Oh, I see. Okay. In that case, would I'm like, okay, maybe I did this a bit in Python back when I was like working on how to write files in Python and everything. Maybe by this say slash chat GPT beat, I need to like have a separate file that just consists of all the replies type stuff. Let me say something like, I see ... Although I have another question. Okay, let's say something like, does this mean that I need another file just full of replies, or let's say something like, or do I add my replies in a class in my main file, question mark? Okay, let's see. Pretty sure ChatGPT is set to use lookup table slash dictionary. Lookup table slash dictionary. Honestly, I've like heard of dictionary slash maps, but I haven't like heard of lookup tables. That's a good. This question means your brain is trying to think like an engineer. Don't get comfortable. I'm answering this only once cleanly. Short answer, no, you do not need another file right now. Yes, you should eventually split it. Now let's slow this down and make it make sense. Where do your replies live right now? One project, one executable, early architectural stage. So the correct move is put replies inside a class in your main file. Okay, that does make sense. Okay, the right class to all replies, chat, hero, physics, logic. Okay, so the reply belongs to something like NPC or dialogue system or brain. This class owns mood, replies, logic for choosing responses. Okay, you already have these classes, so replies belong to something like NPC, the dialogue or dialogue system or brain. Okay, this class owns mood, reply tables, And logic for choosing responses. Main.cpp should not be full of dialogue strings. Main orchestrates, is that how you pronounce it? Class dictates, that's clean design. When do you split it into another file? Not now, you split it once these becomes true. Okay. I think I see, although before I do actually, start writing a code in that, I do wanna, actually, I was like, I do want to write a code about level 5, but then I think that's going to take so long. I don't want to like use this whole stream of just working on level 5 because I have been doing that for like 2 streams. Okay, lookup table. LUT is a data structure like an array or multi-dimensional table that map input values to corresponding output values, acting as a table to quickly find data. Oh, I see. That actually makes so much sense now. Okay, wait, in that case, what is the next thing that I should do? Let me say something like, I see, ... So, what should I do now, question mark? Write a code or, like, create a class first? Huh. Okay, so, apparently I should, like, delete everything in my actual, my actual project here, and then maybe I gotta, like, create a class for my, my replies and all that stuff. Okay, what you gotta do now? Step 1, create the class first, not the logic, not the maps, not the container. Why? What this class represents mentally, this class is the NPC's brain. It will store the current mood, store reply tables, decide which reply to give. It will not render, handle SDL, read key inputs. Okay, so this class is only for storing the current mood, storing reply tables, and decide what to reply. Okay. Your task very specific. You will create a class, name it something sensible like NPC, dialogue system, or brain. Maybe I could go with brain. It's gonna feel more of like an anatomy, guys. That said, inside it, add one variable for mood, string, or enum, your choice. I could use enums. One public function declaration standard string of get reply, which consists of a constant standard string of my player inputs' memory address. That's it. No maps yet, no if statements yet, no implementation yet. If you rush ahead, I will stop you. I'm serious. Okay. Why does order work? Shapes first, muscle second, nerves last. Okay. Important rule, burn this, and if you don't know what a function needs yet, you still declare it. This is how real engines are built. Okay. As Miyamoto Nintendo put in, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Okay, I see. That's it. Let me go all the way up till my instructions. Was it all the way down here? Okay, there we go. I think I gotta go a bit lower for my instructions. Okay, so, I do remember what I gotta do. That said, firstly, let me start off by including a prof anchor braces. Let's say I want to include IO stream. This is basically the eyes and ears of my program. And then let me go ahead and include SDL3 because I will be using SDL3 as well. So I'm gonna go with something like SDL3 / SDL.h, which is SDL3 and SDL2's header files. And now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and create a class called something like brain. I feel NPC or like dialogue system would like sound much better. But guys, I feel like brain sounds kind of cool when writing stuff. That's it. So I create a brain class. Now inside my brain class, I'm gonna go ahead and publicize everything because I don't think that I'm going to be needing a constructor or any private data members in general. Although, since this is, where I actually create enums, I might actually, let's say I might go with something like a standard, okay, I don't think it's called standard, I think it's called something like a enum of, let's say, something like mood, okay, which is going to be equal to which is going to be set to a pro of curly braces. I might go with something like, what all moods do I want to add? I might go with something like bored, so I'm going to go with something like bored, and then maybe happy, angry, and lastly I'll go with something like angry. Okay, and I actually might copy my enum and paste it outside my class because I feel like I might need to use my enums in like different classes as well, and I do want to make this a a parent class. That said, once I'm done creating a enum mood, I might actually wanna let's say create let me think, maybe I gotta create a few maps as well. So since I'm going to be using map / dictionary, let's go ahead and include a prof anchor braces. Let's say I want to include map. Now inside my public section or my public content of my brains is class, I'm gonna go ahead and create a standard map, which only consists of, let's say, something like standard string as my key. There we go. And a standard value as my actually standard string as my value as well. Okay, and I'm gonna call this map something like board. Did I spell board correct? P-O-R-E-D. There we go. Okay, you have angry twice, do I? Guys, am I blind or something? How do I... Okay, instead of angry, should I go with something like sad? I might go with something like sad. There we go, guys. I feel you guys have like... I mean, what should we call it? Like, you guys' perception is like way too strong. That's it. Next time, I'm gonna go with something like standard map with a pair of ankle braces. My standard map is only going to be consisting of standard string as my key and standard string as my value. I'm gonna call this something like happy, ending with a semicolon. Then just to save time, I'm gonna go ahead and copy those, paste it here. For let's say something like angry and sad. Okay, perfect. Now, once I'm done creating my, whatchamacallit, my maps, I'm gonna go ahead and add a few methods. I'm assuming I gotta go with methods right now. Okay, here's the thing. When Sutsay/ChatGPT says this is gonna be my key, my value is gonna be a vector. So, instead of going with a standard string here, should I go with a standard vector that consists of all the possible replies inside of my board's method? Would that make sense? I've been programming for over 15 years now. Over the time, it becomes natural to debug. That actually sounds really cool, guys. I can't wait to be like having like 15 years of programming experience or something. I feel that would be kind of cool, guys. That's it. I have a question. Now, should I go ahead and create vector of replies for all 4 of my classes and use those as my values? Would that make sense? Is that what Sensei bet, guys? Okay, maybe. I don't know. I could actually do it. So, since I am going to be using vector, I'm going to go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces. Let's say I want to include vector. Okay, now let me go ahead and create a few vectors. So, firstly, I could go ahead and create a standard vector with a pair of ankle braces that only consists of, let's say, something like standard string. My vector is going to be called something like board reply. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, instead of ending this with a semicolon, I want to add a few values for it. Let's say something like, depending on what my user types, how would I like say if my user types something like hello, I want to say something like perish or something. How would I get access to that though? Later on for my board, I could go with something like board. Okay, how do I like do this part? Because wouldn't it be like random replies then? Or not like random replies, just my first reply, like a reply that I say by index. How old are you? Honestly, I am like 17. That's it. I'm going to be turning 18 really soon, guys. Kind of excited for my birthday. That's it. Let's go ahead and maybe not use a vector for now. I'm going to try it with a regular map. Now, I'm going to fill in a few parameters here. I'm going to go with something like board at index. Did I spell board correct? Board. Okay, let's go with something like board at index of, I don't know, maybe something like user input. Okay, I could go ahead and create a few private data members. When you got a enum for mood, shouldn't I use it as key? Shouldn't I use it as... Oh, I should actually... I could go ahead and do something like... Let's go with something like my enum of mood is going to be having a mood says... is this called local variable here? Okay, that's an enum, and I'm assuming that's like a local variable, which is initially going to be something like board, ending with a semicolon. Now, what if I went with something like board? Actually, I bored my bad, guys. I'm going to go with something like mood. So, board mood. Okay, I can go with mood. Should I go with something like a standard string? Oh yeah, I do need a standard string. So, I might go ahead and create a standard string of something like, maybe input text. I'm going to go with something like input text, which is going to be equal to an empty pair of quotes. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my input text here. So, there we go. Okay, although, hold on guys, before I actually do this stuff, I want to decide what mood do I currently have. For doing that, I could go ahead and create a few integer variables. The first variable is going to be something like board count, okay? actually, instead of word counts, I want to go ahead and increase my count depending on the keyword that my user types. I could set my board count to be equal to, let's say something like 0 ending with a semicolon. Then I'm going to go with an integer of something like happy count, which is going to be equal to 0 as well. And then I'm just, maybe instead of copying, I could just type it. So I'm going to go with something like an integer of angry count, which is going to be equal to 0 as well. And lastly, I'm going to go with an integer of something like sad count, which is going to be equal to 0 as well. Now, I gotta go ahead and increase these depending on the keywords that my user types. And once I end my loop, I want my entire vector to end as well. I mean, that does actually end. Hold on, guys. Let me actually think now. Now, in order to actually change my mood, I'm gonna go ahead and use a if statement and check something. I'm gonna check if my board count says variable is greater than my happy count. Okay, or I'm gonna check if my board counts as a variable is greater than my angry count. Maybe I go in a new line. There we go. Okay, it's greater than my angry count. Okay, then I'm gonna go with another or and check if my board counts as variable is greater than my sad count. If it is, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna add a pair of curly braces. Okay, wait, I gotta go with something like and. Hold on, guys. This should be and and not or, my bad. There we go. Okay, so if my board counts is like greater than all these things, why can't I use my if statement here again? Expected a declaration, show potential fixes. Maybe I could try adding something here. Guys, why is this feeling harder than it should be? Let's see. I might go ahead and set my mood to be equal to, let's say something like bored, ending with a semicolon. Did I do something wrong up here? Guys, I don't think this is what Sensei was actually saying me to do. I don't know what's going on or what I'm looking at, but I'm gonna just try to chill here. Type shit. Honestly, I appreciate your real W. That actually means a lot to me, guys. Okay, why can't... Oh, maybe the reason I can't do this is because I don't have a method here. Let's copy this. Let's create a method. I'm gonna add a comment that says something like methods. Now, for my methods, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and create a method called something like display. You can have the if statement in class like that. That actually does make sense. I could not have that. Let's say it should be inside a function. Actually, yeah, that does make sense. I don't know why it took me a while to realize that. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like okay, I'm gonna say something like change mood. So I'm gonna go with something like a void method of something like update mood. So I'm gonna go with something like update mood with a pair of parentheses and then a pair of curly braces. Now I'm gonna paste the if statement here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and copy this. Let's paste it here. Okay, I'm gonna check if my happy count this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy my happy count, paste it here. So if my happy count is greater than my board count, there we go, and it's greater than angry count and sad count, my mood is gonna be something like happy. Okay, yikes, use a structure. I should actually, that actually does make sense, but should I use it like inside my, I don't think I want to use it inside my class. It would actually be, much better if I use a structure, honestly. Okay, and instead of having a map for each emoji, okay, like ChatGPT suggested, you can have a map enum map string. Okay, so map enum. Okay, honestly, I haven't like tried that. So if I go with something like map, I want to like copy this part real quick. I'm going to go with something like enum. I'm pretty sure this part wouldn't work here, but I want to just see if it like actually, can I like actually write that here? Oh wait, I'm having two maps inside. Okay, I'm having a map inside a map. Okay, structure emotion. I can actually do that. What time is it for you? Honestly, it's almost 2 p.m. I am back. How are you doing, DWR? Appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, my map consists of standard string. There we go. Huh. Okay, wait. It consists of standard string as my key and a standard string as my value. Okay, I think this actually does make sense. So map enum. Okay, so my enum in this case is going to be my mood. Okay, and maybe I'm going to add this outside my... Actually, it is like outside my method. Let's go ahead and paste it here real quick. Okay, so I have something like mood, and then I create another map that consists of standard string as my key and a standard string as my value. Although, hold on guys, I think I have an extra pair of, whatchamacallit, ankle braces there. Okay, so my map consists of this. Okay, it has a mood as well, so I just need one here to... I think I did this part correct, bro. Wrap C dogs at 300% speed. Guys, 300% speed is actually kind of crazy. That's it. Maybe I want to ask Sensei/ChatGPT for help here, because I honestly have never used a map that has a enum here and like another map inside a map. That said, let's get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Let's go ahead and paste this. Go to enter. Yeah, make a structure emoji with map string. That actually does make sense. I might actually use a structure. Let me say something like, let's say, I've honestly never used, let's say something like a map inside a map, and a map that consists of a enum, and also people from my chat, let's say something like from my chat were recommending me to use, let's say something like recommending me to use structures, okay, for my chat, ... Okay, let's see. And guys, eventually I do want to actually read the docs, because I want to learn how to use the docs as well. That's it, stop, freeze right there. This is a good moment, but you're about to overcomplicate state 6 if I don't intercept. First, you did not fail. Second, your instincts are half right and half chaos. Okay, what is this brain rot wipe coding? Guys, brain rot wipe coding is kind of crazy. That's it, that's normal at this level. I'm going to straighten this out clearly. Big clarity first, very important. You asked, do I need a map inside a map with enums? Should I use structures? The answer, yes. Map of maps is correct in theory. No, you're not ready to use it yet, I see. And that's the key. You try to jump to the final form before mastering the base form. I won't let you do that. What you did right now, acknowledge this. You correctly used enum for mood group replies by mood mentally. Realized if chains don't scale, sense that data-driven logic is better. That means your brain is evolving good. What you did wrong out of care, put mood outside the class. Okay, I put my enum of mood outside my class, created 4 separate maps. Started counting emotions too early. Tried to write a mood map, okay, without understanding ownership. Left an unfinished type at the bottom. Okay, that line would not compile. This isn't bad. This is state skipping. I see. Okay, what even is wipe coding? Honestly, basically wipe coding, you guys could like fact check me, but by what I've heard you guys say is like just getting code like from AI and pasting it in your actual your IDE without understanding what it means type stuff. You guys could like fact check me. It's not lazy, it's true. You're learning nothing and are coding mostly or entirely with AI, which is definition of wipe coding. Honestly, I feel like anything that helps us learn type stuff, guys. Okay, bro, why not use Claude Opus 4.5 model for programming GPTs for GPT in general purpose model? I mean, I actually see that does make sense, but guys, I feel I'm way too attached with ChatGPT. My computer froze like 10 seconds, making glitching sounds on my headphones and was completely unresponsive. I see. Honestly, I do like sometimes experience that with my headphones as well. My headphones start making like like electrical voice or something. I don't know what's that sound called. That's an important reality check. People in chat recommending structures, nested maps, fancy abstractions. They're thinking ahead of the lesson. Structures are for grouping data. Maps are for looking things up. Right now, your problem is a lookup, not storage elegance. The correct stage 6 design, simplify, professional. Stage 6 is only this. Given a mood and a keyword, return a reply. That means your brain class needs one mood, one variable inside the class, one reply table, one function to retrieve replies. Not 4 maps, not encounters, not emotion math. About map inside map explains simply map mood. So we have my first initial map. That's key is a enum. The value is another map, which key is standard string and a value. I see. Okay, in which class are you studying right now? Honestly, I am like a freshman in college, but this was like my first semester, but I am in my winter breaks right now. So guys, no college, that means I got more time to program. Means first key mood, second key keyword, third key reply. Oh, I see. Depending on my mood, I look what keyword I have and I reply according to that. This actually makes more sense, guys. So conceptually, happy mood, hello, replies hey, happy mood, bye, replies see you. Okay. Angry, hello, we say what? The idea is correct, but you don't implement it until you fully control one map, fully control enums, and fully control functional flow. You're 80% there, not 100. About structures, the chat is half right. Structure would be useful later for something like keyword, reply, mood influence, but right now, a structure would just be a distraction. Engineers don't have tools because they exist to tell all that stuff. Do this instead. Move mood inside brain, delete the 4 separate maps, create one map that uses mood as a key, declare declare this function. Standard string get reply. Okay, no implementations yet, no counters yet. Very important quote for you and the chat, guys. I don't know why Sensei giving so many quotes today. That's it, hiding Sams. I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, this one is mine. Original complex systems are not built by adding features, they're built by removing confusions. Okay, so I think I see where I messed up. So firstly, I gotta get my mood here, and I gotta get it inside my method, actually inside my class, and then I gotta go ahead and delete my 4 separate kind of moods, and then I gotta remove mood counts as well. Okay, and then let's go ahead. Wait, hold up. Let me Control T real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and remove this. Let's delete my void method here. And now for my map here, so under my, I'm gonna remove my methods section for the time being. Actually, I might need my methods section. I'm gonna go ahead and create a standard string method. I did use this last stream as well, called something like get reply. I think I spelled string wrong. There we go. A standard string of something like get reply method, which consists of, or which requires a parameter of a constant, let's say something like a constant standard string of, I don't know, maybe the memory address of my input text. Okay, what is C++ used for? Honestly, as I've heard, like so far, C++ is like a very fast language. For example, whatchamacallit, people use it for its speed type stuff. That's it. We can use it to make games as well, because I feel like C++ is like one of the programming, duh. Okay, because I feel like C++ is like one of the best languages to make game. You guys could fact check me. I didn't try like C, C Sharp, and like all those different languages yet, but I definitely think C++ is up there. That's it. Now for my get replies this method. Okay. Do I require any parameters inside? Maybe not. What if I just ended with a semicolon? Okay, and now for my mood. Duh. Okay, so I have a map. I create a map for my mood. I loaded maps as well. My map consists of a standard string of my key and a standard string of my value. Then why do I get a red error? This type name is not allowed. What if I get my map inside my get reply, because this is technically going to be my reply. What if I were to paste it all the way here? Okay, what if I like return this? Okay, I don't think that would like make a difference. Okay, let's see. Okay, maybe am I missing something? Curious to know branch you're studying, and by the way, what are you building? Honestly, I have been working on AI-based text logic for the past 1 week, or like a bit more than a week. I started like level 1 where my NPC in my window replied to my user depending on like keywords. The second stage was a bit more advanced where I actually started working with histories and all that, like a history of what my user was typing. Level 3, I displayed replies based on what was written in my histories, and I forgot what level 4 was, but level 5 was I added mood and mood counts type stuff as well. Bro, it's 2025. Honestly, it's almost 2026. Kind of excited for the New Year's. Bro, as a first year, I recommend you to not wipe code at all, even if that is norm used, old school debugging and documentations get through. I mean, honestly, I feel like the knowledge is like almost everything. So as long as we understand, that does make sense. Not 2010 AI. Okay, that's it. Hold up, guys. Let me get Sensei/ChatGPT back here. What did Sensei mean by this function here? I did create this function, but should I like not be adding something inside this function? Okay, what if I just exit this? Okay, so apparently I have a mood. I got a mood. I got a input text. Is there something else? What else would I need inside of my get replies this method? I might not actually need anything. Okay, instead I could just go ahead and add a comment that says something like, actually not a comment, I'm gonna go with something like a word method of something like event or text events. Okay, I mean, I thought that I wasn't working with text events. Standard map, moods, standard map. I forgot I had standard map. Guys, I'm so stupid. I should like, whatchamacallit, pay more attention on these kind of details because I did not include, whatchamacallit, I did not include using namespace std. So I would have to prefix with standard. So I'm gonna go with something like standard map, and then I'm gonna go with something like, I don't know, maybe my mood, and then, okay, this is gonna be like my moods is enum. Then as my key, and then for my value, I'm gonna go with another standard map. Okay, with a pair of anchor braces. Let's go with something like a standard string as my key and a standard string as my value. Okay, this makes so much more sense. I don't know how did I forget writing standard. Okay, so I got a map. So let me actually think. What is something that I like really needed here? Let me add a pair of curly braces. I can add this inside my method there. Okay, so the thing that I needed, that I was thinking to do here was, depending on my current mood. Guys, did I not copy this? Hold on, guys. There we go. Let's go with Control-Shift-C. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this, delete it, and paste it here. Okay, so now depending on my standard string of mood here, I wanna see what key I get. Okay, depending on my moods is enum. I wanna see what my user type, and add a reply for that. Okay, I see. But I do gotta add replies too. For the time being, I don't think I'm gonna do that. So I add this part, not inside the method, keep it outside. Honestly, would it like make sense if I keep it outside? Because, okay, that actually, I mean, would it make sense if it was outside the method, as it will contain the replies, right? Honestly, yeah, that does make sense, but I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and, let me think real quick. So, standard string. Hold on, guys. Apparently, I was thinking, I'm going to be using my get reply to actually get my reply depending on my user type. So, if this was outside my method, would there even be a reason to have my get replies this method here? I have a input text, so I need to check, whatchamacallit, what was my input text, and depending on that, I want to go ahead and display a reply. Okay, maps are usually taken in as the, I mean, last time the way I did it is like I got my map inside my parameter, which was which had the values inside my main function. I had like a storylines as whatchamacallit, a class. I should have class a function for my storyline. I'm so confused on what I gotta do for like the state 6 of this part. I think I didn't understand the main idea. I might actually ask Syntax ChatGPT like, what output am I expecting? Hold on, guys. I think I need the output. Let's go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, this is what I wrote so far, but I feel like I'm so confused because I don't know what output to expect, so I can't think of what to add. So, what output am I expecting for the level 6 question mark? If you keep the map inside the method, then it'll be local to the method. Oh, I see. Okay, that's it. Okay, good. Stop typing code for a second. You're confused, but not because you're bad, because you're coding without a target. I'm gonna give you the target. Once you see it, the code will snap. Holy typos, guys. I gotta actually fix my typos. I feel it's much better than like when I first started streaming. I feel like everything I typed like had at least one typo in it. That's it. What level 6 is supposed to do? Clear as daylight. Level 6 output is not graphics, so I'm not gonna be adding graphics this time. Okay, level 6 output is not a magic AI. Okay, so I won't be is not AI magic. Level 6 output is the simple behavior. Player types a message, NPC looks at it, the current mood, the player's keyword, NPC returns one string. Wait, wouldn't this be easy in that case? Okay, I mean, how am I going? Let me say something like, I see ... Although, isn't this like for a level 5 question mark, because how is the NPC going to get the reply that it should reply with? Should I add a reply? Okay, I'm learning C++. Do you have any tips? Honestly, yeah, my best tip would be like learn the basics and like be really strong with the basics, and then work on like a lot of project type stuff. And if you guys like do want a C++ roadmap that I've been using, guys could like join my Discord server and mention me there. I do like have my roadmap. Okay, bro. Which subject is this, brother? Honestly, it is C++. That's it. Good, guys. This is where most people blur the line. You didn't. Okay, you didn't. That means your brain is working now. Let's snap this into focus. Why this is not level 5 and why level 6 exists? What level 5? What you already did. NPC replies depending on logic you write directly. If input equals to hello and mood equals to happy. Hard-coded decisions. Okay, elite thumbnail. Honestly, I appreciate you, Spronkle. Guys, that actually means the world to me. I feel like before I used to like manually like make all my thumbnails. Now I still do, but then it feels like it became much easier at I became much better at making thumbnails type stuff. That's it. Level 6, the upgrade. NPC replies are decided by data, not logic. This code does not decide what to say. The code only chooses where to look. If I choose where to look, how am I going to get the reply that my NPC is going to say? The NPC doesn't think, it retrieves. Okay. Answer to your question, very direct. How is the NPC going to get the reply? It should reply with, should I add a reply? Yes, but not as an if. You add replies as data. Okay, so I still gotta manually type my replies. Okay, I mean, excuse me guys, why map of map exists? No mastery. Meaning in English, for each mood I have a dictionary of key and replies. Well guys, if I do gotta add like whatchamacallit, my NPC replies, I think then it's almost the same as level 5 in that case. I think before my methods, I'm going to go ahead and remove this for the time being. I'm going to add a comment that says something like storyline. Let's go ahead and add, maybe not storylines, I'll go with something like NPC replies. NPC reply. So, I could just go with something like, my mood, actually, for my board mood, I'm going to set that equal to 8. Actually, I might need something like a standard map which consists of enum, but this time's enum is going to be maybe something like board. Okay, and then I'm going to be needing keys and values. Let me explain. Yeah, the class will have the map with mood and key with the values and current mood. Then your method will have a input string with keywords. It'll check the current mood map in... Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, class will have the map, okay, with mood and key with the values and current mood. Then your method will have a input string with keyword. It'll check the current mood map inside. Oh, I see. Okay. Wait, in that case, let me go ahead and like go with a bunch of control Z's. Okay, so my get reply has a input text as variable here. After this, let's see, I might actually okay, standard string. Should I add this somewhere up there? Let's go ahead and copy that, delete it from here. I might paste it here. Okay, now let's go all the way down here. Get reply, standard string of get reply. Okay, maybe end this with a semicolon. Okay, I can end this with a semicolon. Hold on, guys, am I missing something important here? Okay, maybe it's like another silly mistake, guys. I gotta work on my silly mistake. So, map consists of a value, actually a key and a value. Although, usually where do I create my key and value? So I have a standard string of key, standard string of value. If I can end this with a semicolon, what am I missing here? Hold on, guys. I feel I'm missing something really important. If this is not a method, name the map variable. There we go. Okay, that's what I'm saying, guys. This is actually awful. I sometimes can't remember these things. Okay, what should I name it to be? Let me name it to be something like NPC reply, ending with a semicolon. Now I can, go to the next step. So, let's see. Firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I wanna maybe, Should I create a storyline? Because I need a enum. This is going to be NPC reply. I wouldn't need 4 moods, so depending on my mood. How would my mood change? It could change depending on what I type the most. So I might need to add something like a standard vector with a prof. Ankle braces. My vector only consists of standard string and it is going to be called something like history. Mood table. Okay, that actually does make sense as well. So I'm going to go with something like mood table. Okay, and now let's go all the way down here. I have my histories, I have my map, I have my standard strings as get reply method. Next method that I might need is going to be a void method of something like text event. There we go. And then I'm going to go with a pair of parentheses and a pair of curly braces. Now my text events method is going to be requiring a parameter of a constant SDL underscore the events structure, which consists of an event's local variable representing it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore key codes structure, which consists of a keys local variable that is going to be equal to my event.key.key. This basically tells me the current buttons that I'm pushing on my keyboard. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna be using a if statement to look for a event type. I'm gonna say something like if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down if my event type is key down if any of the buttons on my keyboard are being pushed down. I'm going to be adding a switch to check the exact button that's being pushed down in my keyboard. So for my first case, I'm going to check if my SDL's key is something like a backspace. If my user, want to delete something, I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I want to use a if statement to check if at least something was written on my keyboard. So I'm going to go with something like, if not, let's say something like input text dot empty. If my input text is not empty and something is really written, then I can go ahead and delete that. So I'm going to go with something like input text dot the pop underscore back function. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And a really important thing, guys, we gotta always break after adding a case. Now, for my second case, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is something like return. Then I want to do something. Return is basically enter in our keyboard. So if my user is pushing enter on my keyboard, I want to do something. Firstly, I want to add a standard console output with an insertion operator that, let's say something like, howdy Leon, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let's say something like you, so I said something. I'm gonna go with another insertion operator. Okay, you know what? Maybe I might not go with something like enter. I might go ahead and copy this part. This is going to be when I type something in general. So before my if statement right here, I might go ahead and add another if statement to look for a different event type. I'm going to check if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event. There we go, underscore let's say something like text underscore input. So if my event type is text input, I want to go ahead and increase, let's say something like my input text's standard string variable by my event.text.text. So by the current thing that my user is typing. There we go. Event.text.text. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with that, I want to go ahead and display my text on my window. So I might go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, maybe in my backspace. Actually, I might not add this part here. Let's copy that, delete that. Let's add that inside of my case here. There we go. I'm going to go with a of quotes and say something like you. So I type this. Let's go with something like you. I'll add another insertion operator. And then I might go with something like my input text with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Harding Ayrton, I appreciate you joining the stream. There we go. And next up, once I'm done displaying what my user wants to type on my window, I'm going to go ahead and maybe append my stuff in my vector because I want to like clear my input text as well every single iteration. But before I do clear it, I want to go with something like my histories as vector, dot the push underscore back function. Let's say I want to push back my input text as variable here, and then I end it with a semicolon. Lastly, I go with something like input text dot the clear method. This method clears my input text, ending with a semicolon, then I break. Okay, that's pretty much it for the time being. Okay, once I'm done with my text events method, what is something else that I would need? Now I have something on my console. Depending on what I have on my console, I want to go ahead and reply. So, where do I actually add my replies? I could go ahead and okay, replies. So my text event is in charge of displaying my standard console outputs. So I don't know, maybe should I go with something like okay, I gotta reply depending on my mood. So depending on my mood, I gotta check my value and respond with I gotta check my key and respond with a value. So I could go with something like a comment that says something like storyline. Guys, I keep calling this storyline. I'll go with something like NPC reply. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add something like my mood table at index, mood table at index of, let's say, something like bored. If my mood is bored, that is my key. Now I gotta add, actually that is my mood. Now for my key and value, let's say if I type something like hello, I want to go ahead and respond with something like dot dot dot. Isn't this what it means? Mood table. Depending on my mood, I gotta give a response for my key and value. I gotta look at my key and display a value. Expected a declaration. Okay, so it says brain mood table with a pair of square brackets. This declaration has no storage class or type specifier. No storage class or type specifier. Okay, maybe I try the debugging, guys. I feel like I do enjoy debugging these days. Let's go with something like F5 to debug. I forgot, how do I debug again? Start debugging with F. Step into, what is F11? Okay, let's try clicking F11. Okay, maybe what is F5? Huh. Unexpected tokens, okay, of a semicolon and then syntax error, missing semicolon before pair of curly braces. Missing semicolon, that is for line 46 right here. Guys, am I really missing something? Hold on, let me see. Function definition of get reply not found. Maybe I go ahead and copy this part, still /ChatGPT here. Okay, mood table board. Hello equals to, oh, okay, I see. My mood table is board. Okay, let's go with something like board. And then my hello is going to be in a pair of square brackets, which is going to be equal to my reply here. Okay, and then mood table board. I'm gonna go ahead and remove my comma from here. Okay, that is my key. Depending on my key, I have a value. Okay, expected a declaration. Okay, mood table has no storage class or type specifiers. Huh. Okay, guys, this part, it's kind of different from what I'm used to doing. Depending on my mood, let me think really hard, guys. Depending on my mood, I have my mood set here. I have my enum all the way up there. Here's the thing, I didn't add a if statement to like change my mood. Okay, maybe I go with something like Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get some /ChatGPT here. Okay, this can be inside a method or constructor. Should I actually create a constructor for my brains class? I don't think that I actually might need a okay. It could actually be inside a method though. That does make sense. Let's create a void method called something like storyline. storyline. Guys, I feel like there's going to be a lot of practicing to do off stream for this topic. Okay, AI and C++. I mean, it's not like AI and C++, like AI based text. I mean, AI text logic in C++, like depending on my user types, I'm gonna be replying if that makes any sense. Although, whatchamacallit, later on, after my C++ Pro 100 series, I am going to be trying to add Python in my C++ project and like use Python in C++, because my goal by the end of my programming for like 258 series is to make a game in general that consists of AI logic. And by AI logic, I mean like not the kind of AI logic that I'm doing right now, text-based. I wanted like a actual chatbot type stuff AI logic where I can actually talk to my NPC. Game AI is not Gen AI. I see. Okay, could you run it? Honestly, I'm not done, but I could like run the code that I wrote yesterday. I did like save the code up, guys, in like my C++ project. Let's hit Control S. So this was the code that I wrote like last stream. If I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So I get my console here. I mean, technically this could be considered like the stage 6 that I'm going on right now. Like if I would hit shift, enable my chat, type something like hello, my hello is like being displayed on my window here. If I would hit something like enter, it goes in my console, and depending on what my user types, my mage replies here. And if I type something like bye, farewell warrior, if I type bye again, my major reply changed to get out of my side because it changes his mood. In the other hand, if I go with something like sorry, he says no more chats, I say sorry, he says no more chats again. But if I say sorry, this time he's gonna say like it's alright. Okay, yes, Gen AI is trained with data. Okay, how do you build logic and how do you stay consistent? Honestly, I'd say like I built logic by just like working on logic, because like when I first started this, I feel like I was really stupid when it came to like C++, like the AI stuff in general. But then the more mistakes I started making, the more times I actually fixed the code and like I saw how the code actually works. I feel that's what actually got me to understand the logic part. And guys, consistency, I feel like it comes by practice. Are you using AI keys? Honestly, I haven't heard of AI keys. So I'm using like event checks here. Huh, okay, that's that. I could like use the exact same logic that I used in my previous code, but I'm trying to figure out how does the map mood standard string of map. So depending on my mood, I look at my key and respond with a value. I'm trying to figure that part out. How do you know that you'll only need 250 videos to complete the whole C++? Honestly, guys, I actually don't know that. I feel like it was too ambitious, but like even if I failed, that would be like my first attempt at learning type stuff. I would probably have another 500 day series to make up for the 250 days. Okay, that's it. Let's get Sensei slash ChatGPT up here. Let's go ahead and paste it. Sure. Go with Shift Enter and say something like Sensei. This is what I've written so far, but I feel like I don't get the main idea, so I can't think on what to do. Maybe because I don't know the maps' syntaxes. Okay, I mean like ChatGPT keys or things like those. ChatGPT keys. Oh, actually I'm using the free version of ChatGPT. That said, mood table board. Okay, hello equals to ... This is how you initialize the table basically. I see. Vivek, how are you doing? Honestly, I'm doing good, Vedant. How are you doing? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, pause right there. Wirebray installed. You tried this. That tells me exactly what's wrong. You know what you... Okay, you know what you want to do, but not how to speak mappies yet. Is that how you pronounce it? Good news, map syntax is boring, not hard. How to think about maps, not code first. Imagine a cabinet. First draw board, inside that folder hello, okay, and then labeled by. Each folder contains a string. Now, translate that into real syntax. A mood table board, okay, this gives you standard string. Access the keyword inside the drawer, board hello. Okay, oh, if I'm bored and I say hello, I go ahead and reply with ... You guys are actually geniuses, honestly. You have a wonderful accent, dude. Honestly, I appreciate you waiting, guys. That actually means the world to me. Okay, your storyline, function, fixed idea. Okay, fill the reply tables when the game starts. Fill the reply tables when the game starts. What this function is meant to do: handle input, decide replies, print anything, just load data. So mentally when bored plus hello, this thing, important sensei warning, do not call your storyline every frame. Call it once at the start. If you don't, you'll overwrite data forever. Don't call it every frame. Okay, right now your only job is the sentence given mood plus word return string. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna take like one step at a time. Okay, how was finals? Honestly guys, it was really good. I'm like passing with a 4.0 GPA guys. I was like really this thing. I was honestly really close to getting a a B in one of my this thing, because my marks was like 89.75%. I asked the G guys rounded, they said yeah we do rounded, so I was like, that was the only class that I actually needed to get a 8 to like actually get a 4.0. That's it. Don't you get disturbed from college slash assignment slash test exams? Honestly, I mean like when I did have college, yeah, it was actually kind of hard, but right now I have like more time to program type stuff because I don't have college. I am like in my winter breaks. That's let's go ahead and delete the comma from there. There we go. So if my mood table is hello, then I'm gonna reply with with 3 dots. Okay, that's perfect. Next up, let's go ahead and copy this part. Let's paste it here. Now, if my mood is, let's say, something like happy, then I'm going to reply with something like hey. Okay, and then let's go ahead and copy the 2 of these. You got a 4 CGPA out of 5. Honestly, no, 4 is like the max GPA that we can get here. That's it. Let's go ahead and paste it here. What project are you working on? Honestly, I'm working on like AI-based text logic. Depending on my AI's mood or like my NPC's mood, he replies accordingly, looking at what my player actually tells him to do. Okay, that made any sense, guys. I think that was kind of vague. That's it. Next up, if I say hello and my mood is something like sad, then I'm gonna go ahead and say something like hi, ... with a crying emoji. Okay, let's see. So it says something like hi, comma. In case I go with something like hi, comma, exclamation. And then if my mood is something like angry, and I say hello, I'm gonna say something like perish, fool, exclamation. 4 is max. Honestly, yeah, 4.0 is like the max we can get. Okay, what are your college subjects? Honestly, I mean, I did take like English and like a few other subjects type stuff, like sociology type stuff. That said, next up in my next semester, I wanna actually work on the programming fundamentals classes, because I feel like that would be kind of easy, but in the same time, I wish like I could only take programming courses, but apparently we can't just take programming courses, if that makes any sense. Okay, not to judge, but I think I better microphone would get a better microphone would get you more views. Guys, is my microphone not actually working properly? Hold on guys, let me actually listen to my voice. I feel like my voice is pretty clear. Is it not like clear to you guys? Okay, that's it. Now I created my storyline, so depending on that, my user replies here, and that should like be pretty much it. Let's go with Control C, copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it here. You go with Shift Enter and say something like, say, is this what you meant? Question mark. Guys, I think this is what like Sensei meant. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Ask ChatGPT about solid grammar will help you. Honestly, that does make sense. I don't think I'm going to be taking an English course anymore because I feel like I just need like one. I want to like just work on programming courses, honestly, because there are like so many useless courses that I got. Okay, I won't say them like useless courses because like I did like when I started my courses here that I thought is not like useful. I feel like it was like pretty good to actually to like learn the new content type stuff. That's it. Yes, that's exactly. Okay, that. Stop for a second and actually look at what you just did. Okay. This is level 6. I didn't think that this was going to be level 6. Okay, big fan, bro. Keep it up. Honestly, I appreciate you, Sai. I think in your case, it would be better if you have it the other way around. Map, keyword, map, mood, reply. Okay, as in your case, for a keyword, each mood has a different reply. Okay, honestly, that actually does make sense. So, if I were to go up here, depending on my keyword, okay, so depending on my keyword, map, mood, reply. So depending on my keyword, I look for my mood and reply accordingly. Okay, actually that does make sense. It's fine, but your microphone could be much better. It's not. Excuse me guys because it's not working, but it sounds kind of bad. Oh, I see. I think I'll just tweak a few settings, but eventually I will like actually get a microphone. The one that I do use right now is like this microphone. It was like $5 on Amazon, probably because of that type of stuff, guys, but I feel it does work pretty good. If you have to code for just 4 moods, you could hard code array inside of map, and later you switch or else if equally fast memory use better. Honestly, yeah, the code that I did right here in like my C++ practice, let's go ahead and save this real quick. I did like hard code my replies and everything, but I'm thinking like for the future type stuff, like later on eventually when I have like different kinds of moods and all that stuff, I want to like use something that makes it easier. And not just easier, I do want to use the replies that I set it to reply. I want it to like make its own replies and like reply if it makes sense, guys. Bro, solid programming is way to make your code scalable. Ask ChatGPT, it will help you a lot. Ask like, what are fundamentals of solid programming? Honestly, that does make sense. I should actually ask that. Okay, that said, if I were to go with something like Control C, I want to copy my this code, paste it here, go with Shift Enter and say something like, Sensei, this is the code that I wrote yesterday, ... let me say something like, is this considered level 6? Because I'm pretty sure this is not considered level 6. If else is only good for some cases, but something expandable and more scalable as dictionary is much better. That's the reason I do want to like master whatchamacallit on how to use the map / dictionary type stuff. That's it. This is level 6, guys. That was supposed to be level 5. Okay, I knew that something wasn't like adding up there, because the thing that ChatGPT was saying me to do, I was like, I already did it here. So I know how to do that, but without like without having like a separate map that checks my moods and all that stuff. Wait, I think I understand what No Bro Studio means. I think he means like, I check my moods manually here. Instead, if I were to just add my mood inside of my inside of my map here, because I have 3 separate maps for 3 separate moods. If I have multiple maps, then okay, that actually does make sense. If I were to have multiple maps, there would be like a lot of maps, but then I feel this way is like much... Okay, this way definitely is not much better, because I feel there's a lot of spamming going on here. Bro, can you spell Santosh? Oh, okay, I see. That's it. Let's see. Let's get Sensei / ChatGPT here. Why I get a feeling that you're going to be a part of big thing in the future, guys. Being a part of big thing does sound kind of cool. Eventually, maybe sometime in the future, guys. That's it. That sounds kind of cool. I appreciate you so much for that user, guys. That did like boost my ego really high. That's it. Let's see. If you want, I can refactor this into a true map system, so your state 6 is fully proof. State 7 will level up your NPCs big time. Okay, all the best, mate. I appreciate you, user. That actually means the world to me, guys. Okay, let's see something like, what does stage... Alright, guys, let's say something like, what does stage 7 do? Because I feel like since I confused stage 5 with like stage 6, so apparently stage 7 could be stage 6. Okay, listen closely, people. Stage 7 is where NPC stop being reactive and starts feeling like they understand the context. The dynamic keywords. NPC doesn't need to hard code. Hello, byte. Doesn't need to hard code. I think I was going with 7, guys. Players is text for important words and rect. Example, player says I'm tired and sad. NPC can detect tired and sad and respond appropriately. He's cooking something. Khichdi, guys, is that how you pronounce it? Okay, you can use the same logic with a facelift with maps. Add the secondary map with mood as key and value with a string. I could try that. Okay, so apparently I just need 1 year, so you could use the same logic with a facelift with maps. Add the secondary map with mood as key and value with string. Add the secondary map. So I'm assuming this is like my secondary map. Okay, I gotta add it with a key. Hold on, guys, I added that stuff here. Where did I set the values for my map? I created a keyword. Hey, is this Python? Honestly, not Python just yet, but maybe after my C++ for like 100 series, I am going to be using Python in my C++. It's called Python for like the AI logic and C++ for my speed in my game type stuff. That said, I mean, if I were to do it this way, it's really easy, but is there a way that makes it much better when I eventually have multiple emotions? Okay, map of maps or database driven replies. Instead of writing if input equals to x, you store moods, keywords, and reply in a structure that scales. Adding a new mood or keyword doesn't touch your logic, just add to the data memory/content. NPC can remember a past conversation and adjust replies. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. NPC can remember past conversation and adjust replies. No, SDL, I gotcha. I see. Okay, it's SDL, I gotcha. That actually does make sense. Okay, if player keeps saying sorry, NPC might eventually reply or forgive you finally. Multiple replies sharing the same brain, you can create many characters that use all the same reply systems, just with different personalities. Okay, what are you building? Honestly, I'm working on AI-based text logic in SDL3 using C++, where depending on what my user types and what current mood my NPC has, he replies appropriately. That's you create many characters that use the same reply system. Okay, I mean, I could do that part later. More natural responses instead of exact matches. Stage 7 NPCs might respond to similar phrases or patterns using substrings, matching, or even AI logic. In short, stage 6 NPC reacts based on counts and fixed keywords. Stage 7 NPC reacts based on context, keywords, dynamically, mood, and memory, making it feel like it's alive. Okay, have you considered behavior trees? I have heard of that. I haven't like actually looked into that. I might actually look into that like right now. NPC reacts based on context, keywords, dynamic, mood, memory. Okay. Hey Vivek, what's your short-term goal? Honestly, my short-term goal for the time being is trying to get into the mindset of how AIs actually think and how do I create them, and like I'm starting off with like AI-based text logic, like how my AI can like reply me back and everything. Later on, I do want to like add more stuff to that, but for the time being, I can't like think like what I gotta actually do next. It's like once I actually master like one concept, for example, in this case, once I'm done with my AI-based text logic, I'm gonna get an idea of like some different kind of AI logic. Eventually, once my C++ for like 100 years is over, I'm gonna maybe use Python and C++ together and maybe learn deep or machine learning with Python, if that makes any sense. Technically, you would need to array one of all words in dictionary and one of all moods. Moods just holds indexes of the dictionary keyword. You can use math for a sentence and generate replies. Oh, I could. What I was actually thinking is, could I by any chance use ASCII and my AI could just get letters and like make a whole word? Would that make sense? Let me say something like, let's say, for level 7, let's say something like, for level 7, do you think that I still need to, let's say something like, still need to add AI responses? Or does it make words on its own, question mark? I was thinking, would it make sense if I gave my NPC access to all the ASCII, question mark? Then it can, I don't know, maybe mix alphabets and make words, then sentences and phrases, question mark. Guys, is that something really stupid or something? Context-based grammar is tough nut. If you don't understand maps, then you're jumping way ahead. Honestly, in that case, I gotta actually learn maps. Okay, you know what, actually, I might just read this and actually work with like maps, and depending on my first maps' value, I'm gonna check my mood and my reply depending on my mood. Okay, listen up. That's not how state sign works. Giving your NPC access to all ASCII and expecting it to randomly mix letters into sentences will just produce gibberish, not actual meaning dialogue. That's chaotic, not intelligent. State 7 is about randomly generating letters. It's not about randomly generating letters. It's about dynamic and contextual responses, not creating language from scratch. The NPC still needs a database of words, phrases, and moods to choose from, but the logic for picking becomes smart. It reads what the player types, it detects what keywords or segments, it chooses an appropriate response based on mood, context, history, Okay, maybe I want to like look online if I can like find a reference code of people actually typing something or like writing a code like this. Okay, let me say something like I see. So I had two questions. Dot dot dot. The first question is that I would still need to make replies for my NPC, and he just chooses replies based on keywords question mark. And the second question is that is there a website where I can see reference code on how the text-based AI logic work how the text-based AI logic works in C++ and C++ for the stage 7 question mark. Guys, I went with stage 6. Hold on. I wanted to go with stage 7. Okay, how do I change this to be something like stage 7? There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and remove that. Hit something like enter. ASCII is just hex code. You should make database. Okay, first, as I said, an array of words and indexes and phrases or mood pointing to the database. I might actually try that. I think ChatGPT wants you to learn step by step, not jump ahead with scope creep. Guys, that does make sense. I should actually like try to like write the code editor here. Your NPC still needs replies. Okay, I see. For the first question, do I still have to provide replies? Okay, I do gotta provide replies. Second question, there isn't any single official C++ library or site. Okay, in that case, I'm just gonna go ahead and maybe try to add my whatchamacallit, try to add a few replies depending on my AI's mood. But you have lots of typos in your prompting. That does make sense. I should like work on my typos. Okay, let's see. Now, depending on my mood, since I have like since I have multiple moods, should I check depending on my keyword if it's okay? So if I type something like hello, let's go ahead and change this to something like hello. Depending on my keyword, if my mood is something like bored, then I'm gonna go ahead and respond with dot dot dot. And if my mood is something like happy, and depending on my keyword, which is going to be something like hello, oops, there we go. Let's go with something like hello. I'm going to respond with something like hey. Okay, why do I have like a red underline here? Oh, maybe because I added a mood here. This is going to be something like a standard string, so I'm going to go ahead and change this to be a standard string. Okay, of my mood, and then depending on my mood as my as my key here, I respond with an appropriate value. Okay, hey kid, looks like you're trying to make a game where NPCs conversates are powered by LLM. That does make sense. I've heard so much about LLM, like LLMs where like NPC get actual replies, like it actually replies even like if I didn't add replies for my NPCs. You need to have either LLM inference engine running locally or an API fast enough to sync with the game. I see. Honestly, I thought that I think that there was like a way to like train your AI as well. So like if I type something like hello and I say him to like reply with something like hi type stuff, but that goes like in a separate file of my AI's memory. Guys, I don't think I should like worry much about that. I should like work on that part once I start with like Python. That's it. Let me hydrate my lips real quick. I feel like they're really dry. Okay, there we go. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the pair of double quotes from here. Okay, and then let's change sad to be something like hello. Let's go ahead and change my sad to be hello. And change my hello's mood to be something like sad here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and change this to be something like angry. And then I'm gonna go ahead and change my angry to be something like hello. Okay, in-world AI is the real thing if that's what your end goal is. Honestly, yeah, I wanted something like, by in-world, do you mean like, AI inside of my game? Because eventually that is like maybe a step towards my main goal, because eventually I do want to like build actual AIs and robots type stuff. But for the time being, I want to learn on how to like implement those AIs inside of my game type stuff. Okay, that's later stage. Honestly, LLM using as chatbot, I see. Okay, that's there are multiple ways to do that, even with lots of open source stuff out there. I see, that actually sounds kind of fun. Okay, but firstly, I have to like master my dictionaries and maps. I might actually work on this. So, these are my storylines that depending on my keyword, it sees my mood and responds with a reply. Once I'm done with that, I want to go ahead and let's see, I add a standard console output here. Okay, do I want to actually display my reply on my console? So to do that, I could go with something like a standard. Could I go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of my reply with another insertion operator of a standard end line? Guys, is this even like legal to do it this way? There we go. Okay, maybe not. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this stuff. How do I display my replies on my console? Because I'm pretty sure these replies are not going to be displayed on my console. Okay, but you first need to get good with the basics, bro. That does make sense, guys. I should like work more on my basics. That's it, because it is like kind of hard to move on from like an actual game logic. I mean, which was like software development mindset. Because till now I have been like, even like for my Python for 100 years, I've been only learning like the game related content. So I'm pretty good with that. But I'm trying to move on to like the AI stuff. Okay, that said, I feel like that is a bit too complex, so maybe I first go with something like white storyline. No, guys, I actually didn't need the standard console output. Okay, in your storyline, you should just fill the... Okay, I should just fill these things. And then let's say something, you should just fill the maps. I see. Okay, maybe next up, could I go with like another wide method of something like display text on window? I see. Keep learning, chap. I appreciate your stuff. You're going good. Honestly, I appreciate you. MP Hivian, is that how you pronounce your name? Guys, it actually means the world to me though. Okay, so I'm gonna say something like display NPC text. I'm gonna go with something like NPC text on window. On window. So there we go. Okay, let's go with something like window with a row of parentheses. Okay, my display NPC text on window is going to be requiring a parameter of my SDL underscore renderer, which consists of a renderer's local variable. Then I think I might need something like a font. So I'm going to go with something like TDF underscore font structure, which consists of a font. You need to then use the method you wrote before, the get reply method. Oh, I see. Okay, I could like use the get reply method, and like depending on my keyword, I'm going to go ahead and check my mood and respond with the appropriate stuff that I gotta respond with. But before that, since I am going to be using true texture font, I do gotta include that. So let's go ahead and include a profile braces. Let's say I want to include SDL3 underscore TDF, which is the true texture font of my SDL3. And then I'll go with something like SDL underscore TDF.h, which is the header files for my true texture fonts. Okay, so I'm going to be requiring a font, and then let's say, I think these are the only two parameters that I might, actually I might need a floating point scale parameter as well. Then I go with the prof curly braces. Okay, and this is going to be something like a pointer towards my fonts. Okay, you need to use the method you wrote before the get reply method. Before the get reply method, you need to use the method, okay, you wrote before my get reply method. So I have a text event method. Wait, did I have... Okay, I have a get reply method. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. Okay, so I need to have my storylines or what my NPC is going to be replying before my get reply. Then, depending on what my input text is, that is going to be my... that is going to be my key here. I'm going to be looking for a mood. If my mood is bored, then I'm going to respond with that. Okay, my mood currently is bored. I think I'm trying to see how this makes sense. Okay, so this is my text event. So in my text event, when I go with standard console output, this is for my console. I want to add one for my window as well. Okay, should I go with something like a display NPC text? Okay, I have a display NPC text on window. But for the time being, I just want to go with my console. So let me think real quick. This is a text event for what my player types, not for what my NPC types. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that, delete that from there. I'm gonna go ahead and paste that somewhere here. Okay, so this is for what my player types. I haven't worked on my NPCs this section just yet. Okay, so that is for what my player types. That is my players' text events. I want to display my player text on window as well. So I might go with something like a void method of something like display player text on a window. There we go. Hold on guys, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna display my player text on my window with a pair of parentheses. Now, my display player text on window is going to be requiring 3 parameters. It's going to be requiring a vendor parameter, a font parameter, and a scale parameter. Then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my method, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say create a color for my text that's going to be displayed on my window. Okay, I think you're right about to connect the dots. It actually does make sense. Like once I do like understand like how this part works, it makes like more sense than like just blindly going in and like creating stuff. If that makes any sense. Actually, I don't think blindly going. I think the part that does confuse me is like when I start learning something, once I understand what this means, so once I understand what my maps actually do here perfectly, then I feel like it would be pretty useful to actually add them here instead of like manually going with if statement type stuff. That's now I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL_colors structure, which consists of a colors local variable, which is going to be equal to something like 0000255. That is the RGB for black, and the 255 here is alpha/opacity, how transparent or how not transparent I want my color to be. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a surface as well. So I'm going to use the SDL_surfaces structure, which consists of something like a player text. Actually, I might go with something like player text surfaces pointer. Okay, which is going to be equal to, let's say the TDF_vendor text blended function. Okay, now my render text_blended function does require a few parameters. Let's go with something like blended. Okay, now my render text blended function requires a font parameter, which is going to be my... Actually, it requires my font parameter, which is going to be my TDF_font here. The second parameter is going to be a text, which in this case is going to be my input text. I'm going to go with something like, excuse me guys, input text. But it requires a constant input text. I just have like a regular standard string. To convert my input text to be a constant string, I'm going to go ahead and include, let's say something like string. I'm going to go ahead and include my strings as a library, and then use the .c_strings function. Honestly, to use the c_strings function is not like compulsory to include string. I just include it because it sounds kind of fun. That's next I'm going to be needing a length, which in this case I'm going to set it to be 0. And lastly, I'm going to need a color, which is going to be my colors local variable. Then I end my surface with a semicolon. Actually, my function with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done creating a surface, I want to add a if statement to check if my surface was created properly. So I might go with something like my player text surface. Okay, then I go with the pair of curly braces. Now, if my player text surface is created properly, I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL_textures structure and create something like a player text textures as local variable. Okay, this local variable represents all the attributes of my SDL_textures as surface. Then I go with something like equal to, and let's use the SDL_create texture from surface function. This function is going to create a texture from my surface that I created like up there. This function requires 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer. The second parameter is going to be my surface, which in this case is going to be my player text surface. There we go. Okay, then I add my function with a semicolon. Alright guys, here we go. Okay, now once I'm done creating a texture, SDL_create texture from surface. Okay, my surface must be a pointer. Okay, so my surface is a pointer. What if I remove the pointer? Okay, hold up guys, I need a pointer there, and I have player surface. I think my texture's gotta be a pointer. There we go guys, I make this mistake like so many times. Okay, perfect. Now, once I'm done creating a texture, I want to go ahead and get my textures with width and height because I don't want to use like magic numbers to like stretch my text out. So I'm going to create a floating point variable of my textures as width and my textures as height ending with a semicolon. Then I use the SDL underscore get texture sizes function. This function actually gets my texture size, but it does require 3 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is going to be my player text texture. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of my textures as width, and the memory address of my textures as height, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now that I've got my textures as width and height, let's say I might actually display my texture on my window, but not before I create a rect. So I'm most likely going to go ahead and create a SDL underscore frex structure, which is going to be having a local variable of rect representing it. Now I'm going to add a few attributes. So let's say something like rect.width equals to my textures as width multiplied by my scale ending with a semicolon. And then let's go with something like rect.height equals to my textures as height multiplied by my scale ending with a semicolon. Now once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and display my texture on my window. So I could go ahead and use the SDL underscore render textures as function. This function renders my texture on my window. I think that was kind of self-explanatory. Although it does require a bunch of parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer. The second parameter is going to be my texture, which in this case is going to be my player text texture. The third parameter is going to be a source rect. I did not create a source rect, so I'm going to be setting that to be null PDR. Lastly, my fourth parameter is going to be the memory address of my rect. And then I end my function with a semicolon. And that's actually pretty much it to display my player's texture on my window. Although a really important rule that I did like make a lot of mistakes and finally figure it out is like when we like create something, we do gotta destroy it. Since I created like a texture here, I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore destroy textures this function. I destroy my textures, so my destroy textures this function requires a player text texture. So there we go, player text textures parameter ending with a semicolon. Okay, let's actually remove the extra space. I feel it looks kind of weird. Then I'm gonna exit outside of my if statement and also destroy my surface because I did create a surface. So I'm gonna go with something like SDL underscore destroy surface with a parentheses, which consists of my surface parameter, which in this case is gonna be my player text surface. Okay, then I end it with a semicolon. Okay, that's actually pretty much it. I add a text event. This is when my player actually types something on my window. I save it inside of my input text as variable here. Although I could add like a chat ons as variable and like chat offs as variable, but I don't think I want to like do that right now. I mean, it wouldn't even take long to add chat on and chat off. I could go with something like a boolean of chat on. Only and only if my chat is on, I want to go ahead and do this stuff. So I'm going to say something like if chat on, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm going to go ahead and copy this part. So let's paste it inside of my chat on. Okay, so I only take user input if my chat is on, and then any of these things happens if my chat is on as well. Let's copy that, delete all that. Whoops. Okay, let's go ahead and paste that here. Okay, perfect. And that's actually like pretty much it. So if my chat is on, I do all this stuff. And then my display text on Windows stuff. I don't think this needs like a chat on and everything. Okay, that's like pretty much it for my player text. Now to work on my NPC text, I created a storyline. These are my replies depending on what my user types. Then I created a standard string of get replies function. I created a map here of my mood table. Now for displaying my NPC text on window, before I do that, I want to display his text on the console. So I might go ahead and create something like a void method of something like NPC text event with a pair of parentheses. And I might change this to be something like player text event. Let's go with something like player text event, which requires, I don't know, maybe 2 parameters. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that real quick. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Okay, then I go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside my NPC text event, I want to go ahead and do something. I might not need like a chat on stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to be checking something. I want to look on what my player actually said. Depending on that, I'm going to check my current mood and respond with a reply. So let's see. Maybe I go with something like NPC text events. Okay, you can actually negate the statement. What you want to do if the chat is not on and take the input in default if the method is specific. Oh, I see. You can negate the statement if you want to do. Okay, if you want to do the if chat is not on and take the user input in default. Take the user input in default. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so basically what you mean is like, if my chat is not on and I type something, I get like a message in my text that says something like click right shift to on my chat or something like that. Okay, that's it. Let me actually get this here real quick. Okay, let's see. What is something that I'm actually missing here? NPC text event. So maybe for my text event, I want to go ahead and display my NPC's message on my console. Only thing I can think of here is like go with something like my get reply. So I'm gonna go with something like my get reply. Yes, exactly. Honestly, I could actually like try that. That does actually sound genius as well. Instead of like not typing anything, I get an error that says like you gotta type something. Okay, I think I spelled replay. This is reply. Okay, that does require parameter of a input text, which is going to be my input text as a variable. Okay, then I go with the prof curly braces. Now, inside my get reply, let's see. I'm going to check if my input text is... maybe I go ahead and delete that. Let's say if my input text is something like hello. Okay, so if my input text is hello... Okay, depending on what my user type, depending on my mood. Okay. Excuse me, guys. So, if when I get my reply, if my reply is hello, then depending on my mood, how do I check my mood? Should I go with something like, and mood equals to bored, then I go ahead and do something. Let's say something like, if that is the case, and my mood equals to bored, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Wouldn't this like completely ruin the entire purpose of this stuff? Excuse me, guys. Hold on, this is not an if statement. Do I need to really add an if statement here? So I go with something like, if my reply is hello and my mood equals to something like bored, then I go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go with something like, excuse me, guys, my mood table at index of hello bored. Mood table at index of hello. Okay, and then I'm gonna go with something like bored. So my keyword is hello and I go with bored. You already have a mood. Oh, I see. Okay, that actually does make sense. In that case, I wouldn't need this here. Okay, so I'm gonna check if my get reply, so let's go ahead and remove that stuff. Okay, so if my get reply is hello, hold on guys, let's go with Control C. Wait, if my get reply is hello, then is there something that I gotta do up here? Maybe I exit this with a semicolon. No, not like that. You need to write the reply function. You need to write the reply function. So I gotta add a content inside of my reply function. So I could go with something like, if my reply is hello. So if mood table is hello, if I go with something like mood table hello. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and end it with a semicolon. Oh, I see. Okay. Now I go with something like get reply. Let's change this to something like text input. Doesn't make sense, guys. Wait, hold up. I think I spelled it wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this here. There, so my get reply is my input text. This is NPC reply. So I'm gonna go with something like NPC reply. Okay, so I go with get reply. If my mood table is hello, depending on any of these moods, I reply with my values here. Guys, I feel like this actually makes somewhat sense. Okay, maybe I'm going to display my NPC text on window later on. I want to see if this part works. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a main function. I'm going to go with something like integer main, add a prof parentheses. Now my main function does require two parameters. The first parameter is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is an array which is a pointer towards an array of argv. And then I'm going to add a comment inside my main function called something like initialize. Okay, and then I'm going to use a if statement to initialize my SDL and also check if my SDL was not initialized properly. So I'm going to go with something like if SDL underscore init, SDL underscore init underscore video. If the video section of my SDL was not initialized properly, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I want to add a standard C error, which is an error text. I'm going to say something like SDL underscore init error. Okay, return mood table input text mood. Okay, so instead of just mood table, I go with something like return mood table. This is gonna be my input text. But if this is my input text, would that actually like not make much sense, because my input text could be something besides hello as well. I mean, I see like how that actually makes sense eventually. Like when I actually do add a condition to change my mood type stuff, this would actually make sense. Although something feels kind of incomplete here. I did not add stuff to actually change my mood because I want to see the keywords. Like I want to see I can't even see keywords. All my all my replies must be hello. Oh, I see. I could check if my keyword is mostly like attack or something. If it is, then I'm going to change my mood to angry. If my keyword is something like, I don't know, maybe something like cry, then my mood is going to be sad. If there are majority something like smile or something like hello in my keyword, then I'm going to go with happy. If there are majority dots on my histories, then my mood is going to be bored. I could actually try that, but then before I actually do that, let's go ahead and add another insertion operator here. Now, once I display myself in edit text, I want to use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore get errors as a function with another insertion operator of, let's say, something like a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and return 1. Did I like miss a pair of parentheses here? I'm actually curly braces. Okay, so if this thing, I go with a pair of curly braces, I probably need a pair of parentheses here. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and return 1, ending with a semicolon. In your NPC reply function, add NPC reply hello. In my NPC replies function, NPC reply hello. Okay, so or make sure that you're taking input. That actually does make sense, but then like right now it is static, so it would work for right now, but eventually depending on what my user types, because I want my user to like type almost anything and my NPC is going to reply depending on that. Although I mean, I feel like this is the same as level 5 of my AI based text logic. Although the reason I do prefer this a bit more is because there is like a more fancier way to actually write that stuff. Hey, what does the STD do? I used old C++ interface around 35 years old. That does sound kind of cool. That said, STD stands for standard. So this is like a standard string of get reply, standard map of my map. And then when I go with like console output, so this is like a standard C error. Standard is basically what we prefix before actually writing our C error here. Unless if you want to add debug to change mood to other moods step by step, bro, that does make sense. I might actually go step by step. That said, if I did want to actually use standard here, I could like go ahead and do something like using namespace std. So if I went with this, I think I spelled name wrong. There we go. If I using namespace std, hold on guys, isn't this how we go? Isn't this? Oh my bad, I ended with a semicolon. So if I using namespace std, then I would not have to like prefix with standard, so I could just go with something like standard and like a vector. But it is a pretty bad practice to like using namespace std, because eventually in bigger projects, not prefixing with standard can like cause name conflicts. So if I go ahead and remove my using namespace std, I get like red underlines because I got a prefix with standard here. Okay, don't jump ahead guys, that's my biggest problem. I actually want to I gotta like go with the very basics too. So I'm gonna first master this part. That said, I mean, I feel like I do know how to like do the next step too, like where I actually get my user input type stuff. Oh, thanks for clarifying. By the way, which country are you from? I used to answer a lot, but these two I did like stop saying that for like safety reasons. That's next up. I'm gonna go with something like ifs, not TDF underscore init. I'm gonna initialize my TDF by checking if my TDF was not initialized properly. I'm gonna display myself a standard C error with another insertion operator that says something like TDF underscore init error. Okay, then I go with another insertion operator of a standard end line. My bad, guys. Before I go with standard end line, I'm going to use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore get errors as function with another insertion operator of, let's say, something like a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Okay, this is going to be like lowercase end line. Lastly, let's go ahead and return one. Okay, perfect. So it's almost the same as how I initialized my SDL here. Isn't Python better for AI stuff? Honestly, yeah, it is better, but I do like having C++ 400 here, so I am like, learning some AI logic, so I do understand more C++ as well. But eventually, after my C++ 400 series, I am going to be, try to load Python inside of my C++ project here and like use Python and C++ at the same time, if that makes any sense. I'm going to be using Python for AI logic and C++ for like the speed and all that stuff. That said, before I do go over that, let's see. I initialized my SDL here. Let's add another comment. He's working on game AI that's different than Gen AI. Honestly, I thought that they were the same. Never mind. Because I thought that I could use Python for like doing the stuff here. But can we like not use Python for that? Okay, let me actually check the difference. Let me type something like game AI versus Gen AI. Okay, let's get maybe the window here. Okay, yeah, doing those matrix multiplication in C++ is actually hell, I see. Okay, generative AI versus other types of AI. Generative AI is a subset or artificial intelligence force on creating new original content such as text, images, audios, videos, or codes. I see. Transform GANs and VAE, enabling it to but guys, it's so hard to read like from here. There we go. Maybe I just decrease the size. There we go. Okay, traditional AI automates structured tasks using algorithms like decision tree or logistics regression. It excels in repetitive rule-based operations such as fraud detection or quality control. Predictive AI, guys, it's so annoying to like actually read here. Okay, conversational AI powers chatbots and virtual assistants. Okay, focusing on natural language understanding and response generation, but typically limited to dialogues. I see key difference. Output learning approach, creative versus accuracy, needs data. I see generative AI from transformed import pipeline. Okay, honestly, I feel like I see. Okay, to choose which generative AI for innovation-driven tasks, product designs, creative content, synthetic data generation, predictive/traditional AI for structured high accuracy needs, risk scrolling, diagnostics optimization, conversational AI for customer interaction and support automation. The future lies in integrating generative AI with other types of AI. I see. You should streamline the error message by making a method to standard out the error, and you give the error. It could possibly automatically detect what error it is and insert proper information. I see. Honestly, I think for that I use like a standard C error. Okay, and then now once I'm done with that, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like game variables. These are gonna be the basic game variables that my window might need. I think I spelled variables wrong. There we go. So the first game variable that I might need is going to be a width variable for my Windows's width. I'm going to be setting that to be something like 1000 ending with a semicolon. Then I go with something like an integer of height, which is going to be something like 800 ending with a semicolon. This is the width and height of my window. I'm not going to be adding gravity and all that stuff for the time being because I do like want this to be really simple type stuff. So I'm just gonna move on to, let's say, something like create objects. I won't be creating like Rex and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go with something like create objects. Okay, now for my create objects, I'm gonna create a chat object that is going to be represented by a chatsys class ending with a semicolon. Okay, I think this was called my brain class. There we go. Brain class is going to be having a chatsys object, and then I'm going to go with something like do I have a heroes class? I do not have a heroes class. I just have a brains class that has specs and all that stuff. Excuse me, guys. Okay, that should like be pretty much it. Now let's add another comment that says something like main loop. For my main loop, I'm gonna go ahead and need two variables. The first is gonna be a boolean variable of something like is running. This checks if my program is currently running. I'm gonna be set it to be true initially, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm also gonna be creating a event variable to like look for my current event type stuff. So I'm going to set my event variable to be represented by events as local variable, ending with a semicolon. Next up, let's go ahead and create a while loop. So I'm going to go with something like while. Okay, game AI is a whole different thing. Behavior trees, GOAP state mechanics, nav meshes, utility AI, chat AI. Each is different beasts. And Viv, yes, you can use Python for your chatbot NPC with C++ for REST. Actually, that does make. Okay, that does sound kind of cool because like eventually I didn't want to like add my own responsive for the storyline. Okay, maybe I did want to add my own responsive for like the storyline, but then eventually I do want to have like whatchamacallit, a option that where I can actually chat with my AI type stuff, if that makes any sense. That said, now I'm going to go ahead and create a while loop that says something like while is running, while my program is running, or while my is running is set to true. I'm going to add a comment that says something like event loop. Now my event loop is basically going to be a while loop inside of my while loop / a nested while loop, and my event loop requires a SDL_poll events function as a parameter. My poll events function requires the memory address of my event variable as a parameter. Now basically what the SDL_poll events function does is it like looks for all the events that I'm going to be looking for inside of my while loop. If an event is met, it does what I tell it to do. For example, I could go with something like if my event.type equals to SDL_event_quit. If my event type is quit and my user click the top right X button to exit my window, I want to go ahead and set my is running boolean variable to be false, ending with a semicolon. That ends my entire loop. Next up, once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and use my chat object, let's say .the display player text on window. Okay, this function requires three parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer. The second parameter is going to be a font. Lastly, the third parameter is going to be, let's say something like scale, which I'm going to set it to be 0.8, ending with a semicolon. Don't forget to call the chat style storyline function outside your loop once to initialize the map. That actually does make sense. Before I actually do that though, I actually forgot to, create my window and my renderer. So I'm gonna add a comment here that says something like create window and renderer. Okay, so I'm going to be creating both my window and my renderer at the same time, but to do that I would need two pointers. The first pointer is going to be representing my SDL_Windows structure. I'm going to be calling the pointer something like window and setting it to be nullPTR, which is basically a placeholder for pointers. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a pointer representing my SDL_Renderer structure, which is going to be called something like renderer, and it is going to be set to something like nullPTR, ending with a semicolon. Now that I've got my two pointers, I'm going to use the function that actually creates my window and renderer. So I'm going to go with something like SDL_create window and renderer function. This function actually creates my window and renderer, but it does require a bunch of parameters. Firstly, it requires a title / a caption for the window, which in this case I'm going to set it to be something like SDL3 window created. Okay, the second parameter is going to be my Windows' width and my Windows' height, which is technically my width and height variable. The fourth parameter is going to be, let's say, a flag for my window. If you guys don't want to add a flag, you guys could go with 0, but I do want to add a flag that makes my window resizable. So I'm going to use the SDL_window_resizable flag. Lastly, the fifth and sixth parameter is going to be the memory address of my Windows' pointer and the memory address of my renderer's pointer. Okay, that's pretty much it. I end my function with a semicolon. Now, since this is C++, I do gotta add a if statement to check if either my window or my renderer was not created properly, because we give ourselves errors in C++. So I'm gonna go with something like if a of parentheses. Let's say something like if not window if my window was not created properly, or not a renderer if my renderer was not created properly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Firstly, I'm gonna display myself an error text. So I'm gonna add a standard C error and say that I got a SDL_create window and renderers as error. Okay, so basically I just like said my function name and then slapped an error after that. Then I go with another insertion operator and use the function that actually gets me an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore get errors as function with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. There we go. Later you can use a JSON or CVS table for your maps. Imagine the map is a Excel table. It's basically a 2D map, so it's easy to have a mental map. I see. Okay, I could actually imagine it as being an Excel sheet or Excel table. So I see my mood. Actually, I see my keywords. Depending on my keywords, I look at my current mood and respond with like something. Okay, that's it. Now, if either my window or my renderer was not created properly, I do want to exit my SDL. So I'm gonna go with something like SDL underscore quote with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I return 1. Now, this is pretty much it for creating a window and renderer. So I'm gonna go ahead and add, let's say something like my chat dot, let's say the, not the get reply, not history, not mood table. I think it's the player text event. So I'm gonna use my player text events method here. Hey man, how do you Sprunkle? I appreciate you joining the stream. That's it. I'm gonna require event variable and a chat on variable. So I'm gonna require event variable and a chat on variable ending with a semicolon. Now, I did not create a chat on variable, so I'm gonna go ahead and create a boolean variable called something like chat on, which is initially going to be set to false. Okay, now I'm gonna add a few event types. Before I do add a few event types, I'm gonna go ahead and use the SDL underscore key codes structure, which consists of a keys local variable representing it. That is going to be equal to my event.key.key ending with a semicolon. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say add a if statement to check a event type. I'm gonna check if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. If my event type is key down, if any of my buttons on my keyboard are currently being pushed down, I'm gonna look for let's say the exact button that's being pushed down. I'm going to use a switch. My switch is going to be having a parameter of my key, which is technically event.key.key. Then I go with the pair of curly braces. Now, inside my switch, I'm going to add a case. Don't forget to call the chat's storyline function outside your loop once initialize the map. Oh, actually, that does make sense. Do I actually need it outside my loop? Is this a wizardry, guys? I feel this is kind of a AI logic type stuff, but this feels like a really basic AI logic. But wow, guys, I honestly feel like this is like hardly impressive because like I wanted to add like stuff where my AI can actually have a mind of its own, but apparently I like give my replies for my AIs. But I feel like it is pretty cool as well. That's it. I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is something like maybe a left shift. If my user clicks a left shift, then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna be setting my chat on variable to be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. Then I go ahead and break, since this is a map, guys. Next up, I'm gonna add my second case. For my second case, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is right shift. If my user is clicking my right shift, then I'm gonna do something. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and set my chat on boolean variable to be something like false, ending with a semicolon, then I break. Okay, perfect. Now, the only time I want my chat.player text to run is when my chat on is set to true. Okay, perfect. And that's actually pretty much it. Now, let's exit outside of my event loop. I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment here that says something like fill screen. So I'm gonna go with something like fill screen. Now, for my fill screen, firstly, I don't like actually color my screen. My renderer is the stuff that actually colors my screen because renderer is technically a paintbrush. So I do gotta set a color for it. To set a color for my renderer, I can use the SDL underscore set render. I'm setting my render to draw a color. So set render draw color function. My set render draw color function requires, let's say, 5 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my renderer. The second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be an RGB value. In this case, I want my RGB to be something like cyan. So my color is going to be 0, 248, and 255. Lastly, the fifth parameter is going to be alpha/opacity, which basically means how transparent or how not transparent I want my color to be. In this case, I don't want my cyan to be transparent at all. Next up, I'm going to use the SDL underscore render clear function. This function tells my render to actually clear/fill my entire screen with the color of my renderer. There we go. Okay, perfect. Then I go ahead and exit my function with a semicolon. Once I'm done with filling my screen, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like graphics. For my graphics, firstly, I want to go ahead and use my chat dot, let's say, display player text on window. I mean, sure, I could display my player text on window. You should switch to Python, bro. Honestly, once I'm done with my C++ for like 100 years, I'm gonna use Python on my, like, Python and C++ at the same time, if that makes any sense. I do gotta figure that out, like, off stream how to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna require render a parameter here, and then I'm gonna be requiring a font and a scale. I don't have a font, so I might actually go ahead inside my main function. Once I'm done creating my game variables, I'm gonna add a comment that says something like load font. Now to load my font, I'm gonna go ahead and use the, let's see, TDF underscore fontsive structure, okay, which consists of a fontsive local variable representing it that is going to be equal to, let's say, something like TDF underscore the open fontsive function. Okay, you should switch to VLang. By VLang, do you mean like Golang? Okay, Gauss says it depends on what else you're building. That actually does make sense. Okay, that's next up, let's go with the pro parentheses. Okay, now, this is going to be a pointer towards a font size variable. Now, my TDF underscore open font requires two parameters. The first is going to be a file path, which in this case is going to be my fonts slash, let's go with something like open sans, I don't know, maybe open sans italic.tdf. And my size is going to be something like, I don't know, maybe 24. Then I add my function with a semicolon. Okay, you should switch to Zig, bro. Honestly, I haven't like heard of Zig. Is it like in, excuse me guys, new programming language? No, VLang, like VLang separate language. I see. Golang sucks. Honestly, I haven't like heard of VLang, but I might actually look into it. That said, once I did create my font, since this is C++, I gotta check if my font was not created properly. What are you doing? Honestly, I'm working on AI-based text logic in SDL3 using C++. That said, I'm gonna check something like if my font, if my font was not created properly, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Your map will be empty if you don't call the story function, and you will get no reply. I see. Okay, that said, I'm gonna go ahead and check something if my font was not created properly. Your map will be empty if you don't call the storyline. Honestly, I was gonna actually forgot. That's it. Let me actually call the storyline here. So maybe once I create my font variable. So I'm gonna be adding a standard C error if my font was not created properly. It's gonna say something like I don't know, maybe loading font error. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like loading font error, and then I'm gonna go with another insertion operator and use a function that actually gets me an error. So I'm gonna use the SDL underscore get errors as function with another insertion operator of, let's say, something like a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and return one, saying something went wrong with this block of code. Okay, now let's scroll all the way down here. I'm going to go ahead and paste my font size variable here, and lastly, my third parameter is going to be a scale, which is going to be something like 0.8, then add my function with a semicolon. Now, I'm going to use the chat dot, the, let's say, storylines is method, okay, with a parentheses ending with a semicolon. Okay, that's pretty much it for my storyline. Now let me drink some coffee. Guys, I feel like the coffee is kind of warm. I mean, I like coffee in general, but I feel like I like cold coffee a bit more than warm coffee. I feel like I enjoy the bitter taste, guys. Okay, that's the next up. Once I'm done creating my graphics, I want to go ahead and present my render on my screen, because if I don't present it, I don't see anything on my window. So I'm going to go ahead and use the, I'm going to add a comment that says present render on, or just present render. Okay, so to present my render, this should be outside the loop. Outside, I mean, honestly, shouldn't it like be inside my while loop? Because it is outside my event loop. The storyline is called outside once. I see. Okay, if I do add it outside my loop, don't I actually have my storyline inside my class? I could actually try it like both ways. So let me go ahead and paste it once outside my loop. I'm gonna go with something like storyline. Let's go with something like storyline. There we go, and then let's go ahead and paste this here. Let's go with chat.storyline and scroll all the way down. I'm going to use the SDL underscore render present function. I'm saying my renderer to present itself. That does require a parameter of my renderer. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end my function with a semicolon. Lastly, I'm gonna add FPS as well, which is technically frames per second. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore delays this function. This function requires a parameter in milliseconds. In this case, I'm going to go with 16 milliseconds, which is technically 60 frames per second. And then maybe drink some more coffee, guys. I'm kind of starving. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and exit outside of my main loop, add a comment that says something like cleanup. Cleanup basically happens when a player actually exits my window. I want to do a few things. Firstly, I want to destroy my window, so I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore destroy window. So I'm going to use the destroy window function that does require windows as parameter, ending with a semicolon. I think I spelled destroy wrong. There we go. And then I'm going to use the SDL underscore, let's say something like destroy renderer. So I'm going to use the destroy renderers as function, which does require renderers as parameter, ending with a semicolon. Then I want to quit my SDL, so I'm going to go with SDL underscore quit, ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I return 1. Actually, return 0, saying everything went smoothly here. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here. Okay, and I do get my window here as well. There's actually like nothing in my window because I didn't like load PNGs type stuff. That's it if I would hit something like hello. Okay, nothing happens. Did I on my chat, guys? I think I forgot to on my chat. There we go. I can't even see anything that I typed. Okay, it does not display on my window. Maybe because of my player text events. You should move chat on integer outside of main loop. Honestly, my... Wait, I think chat on should like be inside my main loop because I want to like change my chat on like every single iteration type stuff. Wait, if it was outside... Oh, I feel like chat on is going to be false every single iteration. That's okay. Actually, you know what? Never mind. My bad. Wojki, is that how I pronounce your name? Honestly, guys, that's actually genius. You guys are like way too smart when it comes to this thing. That's it. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, I should be seeing a chat on my window. Okay, because before the reason it didn't make sense when it was inside of my main loop was because my chat was, whatchamacallit, it was becoming, I forgot what I wanted to say, guys. Yeah, it sets to false. Yeah, every iteration it becomes false. And the reason now I don't have a display here is because I did not start my text input. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore start. So let's go with something like start text input, which does require a parameter of my window ending with a semicolon. Now, if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here and I get my window here. Let's hit tab and type something like hello. Okay, can you guys like, whatchamacallit, see my text here? It's like all the way up here, so it says hello. If I were to hit enter, it's just gonna say I said hello. But if I were to go with a lowercase hello, my NPC still doesn't reply though. That's it, at least I display stuff on my window. I just gotta like add my player and all that stuff. I feel the NPC part wouldn't be that hard, guys. Let's scroll all the way up here. So I have a storyline. Maybe I want to try getting my storyline inside my while loop. So let's go ahead and paste it under my graphics. All the way there. Okay, now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here and I get my window here. Okay, can you guys like even see the window? Okay, let me enable my chat, type something like hello. It just says what I said. It doesn't say, it doesn't reply depending on my mood. Okay, I mean, honestly, I feel like I'd like work more on this mood table part in that case. Okay, so I get my reply depending on my mood, but standard string get reply. Maybe my NPC get reply. Let me copy that. That should be above my standard string of... Wait, why do I have two get replies? Was this get reply? Okay, this is my get replies method. Okay. So let's go with Control Z. Okay, so that is my get reply. Depending on what I do, standard string of get reply. Oh, I see. Okay, this is my NPC reply. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me scroll all the way down here. I think I like used the wrong method name here. So maybe in my okay, this requires a event. Why did I even add an event parameter here? There we go. So I'm going to use my NPC reply method in my, let's say, Under my graphics, I'm gonna go ahead and use the chat. Let's go with something like chat dot NPC reply. So I'm gonna go with NPC reply with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. You didn't call the NPC reply function. That does make sense. Don't put it inside the loop. It should be called only once outside the loop, as you have just defined the function in the class. You're not calling the function in the class. That does make sense. Okay, let's go and copy that. If you keep it in the loop, it will initialize each loop. Okay, that does make sense. Let's go ahead and delete that. Let's paste it outside my loop. Right, sure. Now, if I did Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. I get my console here, I get my window here. If I enable my chat, type something like hello. Okay, it says hello. I used my NPC reply, but it apparently did not actually display a reply on my window. Why could that be? Let me think really hard, guys. So if I go to my NPC replies here, I have a input text that does always get cleared up here. So to avoid that, I could go ahead and, I don't know, maybe go with something like my histories. Firstly, I'm going to add a if statement. I'm going to check something like if not my history dot the empty method with a pair of parentheses if my histories is vector is not empty. Did I spell history correct? How do you spell history, guys? History, there we go. Did I spell it wrong? T-O-R-Y. Oh, T-R-O-Y. There we go. So if my histories is not empty, then I'm going to go with something like a standard string of last variable, which is going to be equal to my history T-R-O-Y dot the back method. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And let's copy this. Let me go ahead and copy this part real quick. Delete that from there. I'm going to go ahead and paste this here and change this to input text and mood. This is going to be last. There we go. Okay, you're not displaying the NPC reply. You're just getting it. I see. Hiding Sock, I appreciate you joining the stream. That said, I'm pretty sure this should work. Okay, now if I did Control S to save the code, wait, I'm not displaying it. I'm actually not displaying it. Maybe I could go ahead and return this, but I want to display my last. I'm actually not displaying it. Maybe, what if I went with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator of my mood table? Let's go ahead and copy that. Let's paste it here. There we go with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Maybe I want to go with something like another insertion operator up here that says something like NPC. Okay, and then I go ahead and copy this thing, delete it from there. I'm gonna go ahead and return. Let's return 0 here. Okay, this looks pretty much correct. If I did Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens. I get my console here. That was instantly destroyed. Okay, so it says debug project.exe exited with code. Hold on, guys. I think I just ran the code wrong. Maybe I can return 0 here. Is this Rust? Honestly, it is C++. That's it. Let's go ahead and copy that. Okay, maybe paste this here as well, ending with a semicolon. This is going to be something like my input text mood. Now, if I did Control S to save the code and run the command and see what happens, I get my console here. And to get my window here, let's go ahead and say something like hello. Okay, at least, okay, I did not add a break. But at least my NPC replies right now. Okay, also not all returning all paths in the function. I think I see. Okay, the reason my if statement was constantly going was because my vector should be empty. I should display just once. Maybe inside of my while loop, I don't paste my NPC get reply in my graphics. Instead, I want to paste it in my event loop. Okay, now if I did Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here and my window here as well. Let's type something like hello. I mean, for one hello, I pasted a Oh, I see. Okay, my NPC reply does work, but then it's displaying more than once. I had this, like, I've been through this error before. I know how to fix it. All I gotta do is just think a bit hard here. Let's think. So apparently, when I go ahead and display my standard console output, this displays every single iteration. I wanted to just display once. I wanted return once I display this. So maybe I'll just go with something like return. Okay, and then I would, if I were in control as to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Oh wait, I got an error here. It says brain get reply function must return a value. It would be so much easier if I could return standard string, but I cannot return this. What if I went with I could go with something like this. So I could have this in a statement. Let's go with something like if a of parentheses. Let's say something like if this is the case, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. Okay, error. Guys, that does make sense. That was kind of stupid to just return. I add a static console output, but I want to return my console output. Can I not return static console outputs? Can I not? I cannot. Okay, new stable user defined conversation. Okay, could I use a for? I don't think that would actually work though. This is my get reply. Okay, I get my reply, but then if I actually return something up here, then I could actually get my console outputs. I get my reply. That works correctly, but this like works for every single loop. Oh, return a pair of quotes. There we go. Let's try ending that with a semicolon. Now, if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here. I get my window here. Let's type something like hello. I mean, am I like missing something? Let me think, guys. Maybe I drink some coffee to jog my memory up. Okay, I do know what's exactly wrong here. I gotta add if statements to check my current mood. So I might go with something like if a of parentheses, let's say if my mood equals to something like bored, if my mood is bored, then I'm gonna go ahead and return, let's say something like, I don't know, ... So I'm gonna go ahead and return ... if mood is bored, and input to, let's go with something like, and my input text is equal to hello, then I go ahead and return this, but this is a void method, so I can't return here. Instead, I could like copy this and paste it right here, but that is not fixed, I think. It's actually not the correct fix for it, but then how do I display stuff? Like, I cannot add standard console outputs here. That is like probably out of the way. Okay, our storyline doesn't need the if statements. Actually, it does not. I was gonna like copy, I was gonna change this to like a standard string. Actually, not standard string. I was gonna copy the if statement and paste it under my get replies depending on my mood, but that would like ruin the point of having a mood table here. Maybe somehow I gotta display my console outputs. What if I go ahead and copy this variable? Okay, and then what if I like paste it all the way up here? So if my vector is not empty, then I go with something like my mood table. So I'm gonna go with something like a standard console output. You're returning in get reply, bro. Oh wait, let's go with a bunch of controls. The string is a function with returning the answer. Okay, the storyline is just initializing stuff. That actually does make sense. It's just to like initialize the values. Okay, you're returning in get reply. I'm returning in get reply. Okay, I do like return here though. Let's think. Maybe, what if I actually... Okay, I used it last year, but then I do know that my mood table is still being like, my NPC does reply me, but I don't see it in my console because I did not display standard console output. Okay, and my input text is like technically empty as well. What if I copy this? Wait, hold up guys, what if I actually paste it here? This is going to be something like last. Okay, what if I were to control S to save the code and run the command? I get my console here. Okay, the get reply input string is returning the answer. Oh wait, hold on guys, let me go all the way right here. So the get wait, actually, I did not even consider this variable here. Did I even add that when I actually pasted my stuff here? When I go with something like my get reply, did I paste my get reply somewhere here? Okay, NPC reply is the get reply input string is returning the answer error. Okay, actually, I think I understand what you mean. Basically, I went with my get reply and NPC reply are two different things. Wait, in my NPC reply, I get my reply. What if I go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator of my get reply with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon? Was I actually getting confused between my NPC reply and my get replies this function? Guys, that actually did not make any sense for me to get confused there. That's it. Now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. I get my console here, the NPC, guys, a reply is being spammed here. Maybe because this shouldn't be hello, instead this should be my input text. I'm gonna go with something like input text. There we go. I'm gonna add a prof parentheses here. The NPC is a test function you wrote with hard-coded input. Oh, I see. Okay, that does make sense. So now if I have input text here, which is technically going to be empty, I'm gonna check for last year as well. So instead of having my last there, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this part. Let's delete this. Let's go ahead and paste this all the way here. Okay. And then inside this, I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, paste it here. Let's change input text to something like last. Okay, now if I did control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so I get my window here and I get my console here. Let's go ahead and type something like hello. Okay, it still spams, but I feel like I understand what this actually meant. Now all I gotta do is stop this after an iteration. So I might not go with something like if history.empty. I wanna just display my standard console output once. To do that, maybe I go ahead and return this. That is last. My input text gets destroyed after one iteration as well. Okay, I might go with something like my last.clear. Okay, but actually I might go with histories.clear, so I'm gonna go with something like history.clear. I just want to see if like it is because my history is not clear type stuff. This is going to be TROY. Now if I did control S to save the code again and run the command, let's see, I get my window here and my console here. Let's type something like hello. It is my histories, guys. So it says hello once. Okay, maybe if I type something like bye. I mean, there is no specific reply that I set for like bye. So it won't like reply anything, but a message has been used up here. Okay, so it actually is kind of for about my histories type stuff. Clear history or add a boolean flag. That does make sense. So I did like clear my histories here. There we go. I might add like the rest logic next stream because like for this stream I feel like I gotta go right now. Okay, that said, next stream maybe I'm gonna be, I mean I am definitely going to be working on this like more off stream and trying to figure out like how to master my dictionaries, and next stream I might actually work on a new topic but related to this concept, if that makes any sense. That said, let's go ahead and get some say/ChatGPT here. Let me say something like, say I see ... That said, I am planning to end the stream right now. I did write a code, but I did not complete the whole thing. I will work on that next stream ... So before I do end the stream, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers? Question mark. Okay, set the mood to sad or something and test. Oh, actually, I should actually test that. Hold on, guys. Let's go ahead and change my mood to something like sad. If audit control has to save the code and run the command. Let's see, I get my console here and I get my window here. Let's type something like hello. Okay, so it says something like hi with a crying eyes emoji. Okay, this part does work. All I gotta do right now is not spam it. Means once I actually send a console a standard console output, I gotta go ahead and disable my histories from being empty, or maybe I had my standard console output like outside of my if statement here. Maybe I get my last outside of my if statement. So let's go ahead and paste this here. My last is outside of my if statement, then I go ahead and paste this. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. So let's go ahead and delete all that. Okay, let's go ahead and paste this. Now, I could get an error here telling me that my histories is not empty. So if I did Control S, I might get an error here. There we go. So I get the Microsoft Visual C++ one-time library. It says my vector is empty error here. So I do gotta add a check that checks if my vector is not empty. Okay, let's just add the if statement for this part here. That's let's get some say slash chat GPT up here. I might look into that like some off stream. That's listen up, viewers. Today Vivek pushed himself to level 6 and he didn't just code, he challenged his mind. Remember, mastery doesn't come easy. It comes from failing, breaking, and fixing your code over and over. Tonight he's taking a breath, but tomorrow he returns stronger. Don't sleep on your potential. If you want to create, you must be willing to hurt yourself with challenges. Go get some rest here. Next stream is where the real blood, sweat, and code happens. Okay, that's it. Let's go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was pretty much it for the stream. I didn't want to stream for longer, but I feel like I should like work some on this off stream type stuff, and my throat is kind of exhausted as well. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like, helps my algorithm, share, makes you smile, and subscribing is like a cherry on top. And guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well if I didn't meet the followers requirement. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. And also join my Discord server, because some of you guys do ask me like for my roadmap or want to talk to me in general. So I do like talk to you guys and like give you guys my roadmap on my Discord server. The link will be in the description as well. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace. Okay, sorry mate, all the see ya mate, all the best. Honestly, I appreciate you, no bro studio. You actually helped me so much this stream. I actually do appreciate you a lot. That's let's end the stream.